I wanted to show you a method of putting together some graphics that would be for any number of uh, graphic results that you want to have. In this case, I have a picture of a little dog that is cute, and I want to focus in on the face and perhaps on his name, Duggar. The original picture looks like this, and taking the picture off of a digital camera. Remember how you process the picture? You go to image and image size, and then you're going to set it up on a width and a height. And I usually go with some 7 high or 7 wide, and of course resolution is 400 to start with. If you send it off to a printer or photo processing plant, they take it down to 200 resolution once you finish the work. And it's in inches. Sometimes these things open up and they're in pixels, or something other than inches. Make sure you're in inches when you do this sort of thing. Now I'm going to just okay this because it's the numbers I want, but I've got it set up. But here's this dog, and he's got a blue collar on, and he's sitting on a couch. That picture is not bad. It's a nice couch and nice outside looking at a brick wall and whatever is there. But I want to focus in on the face. So what I've done is I've gone through with my polygonal lasso tool, and I've cut out around his face, and to include this harness down here just to have some sort of break off point. And with that, I get this face. Now let me cut away the other stuff that's there so you can see just what I'm talking about. There's the face. And I put around the face an effect, an outer glow. I went down here to the filters and found the outer glow. And what I did with outer glow is I'll open that up and show you. I put a little bit of a blue. I'm going off the cast of this cloth on his harness here. And I put the opacity is like 75%, so it's not strong color, it's just a glow. And I don't put any noise in it. Noise is like stippling or little dots. Sometimes that works for you, sometimes it doesn't. And I've given a little bit of size, a little bit of spread, but that is what is now showing here as the outer glow effects. Now if I turn that off, you can see that I've made some hairy edges here just as I can, but by adding the effects, it's given me a little more interest going on there. And then there is a background, and I've chosen a background. Now you notice I'm on a 5 by 5 square here. I start off at 7, but once I cut the dog's face out, I put it on a 5 by 5 square, as if it was going to be a CD cover or something on a website or a printed place that's a square format. Now, there's another thing I want to bring into this. I'm going to turn the dog's face off and bring in this graphic. You see, this is a series of graphics made up by grid patterns I created in Illustrator. And then I brought them over and put them together here. And I've done a gradation, a radial gradation, light blue and into dark blue. Now, let me go to the Adobe Illustrator, and this is where I created this in Illustrator. It's just a series of squares that I put together, and as you would maybe a checkerboard, but I took out or I eliminated all the inside pieces. So I ended up with a grid. Your pattern could be anything you want it to be. I'm making a reoccurring pattern. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pattern out of Illustrator, and I select it, and it's all little blue lines are showing, and I go Command C. I'm just copying it to the clipboard. So as a one-time image on my clipboard now. And when I go back to Photoshop, I am taking I'm going to make a new one. File, new. And you see it coming up in pixels. I'm going to change that to inches. And I'm going to make it 5 by 5 and 400. And so there's my square. Now out of the rulers, I'm going to pull off, remember it's 5, so this is 2.5. I'm going to pull out a couple of guidelines just to put me down through the middle here. And then I'm going to that's a background. I'm going to change the background of my layer, and I'm just going to call it back. That's not important at the moment, but I have to wrestle in this stuff to make the grid thing. I make a new layer, and on that layer, Command V, I'm going to paste in as pixels. Okay, that. There's my big grid. Now I'm going to just take this down with the Shift key and diagonal arrow down here, not the rotate, but the diagonal, and just make it small. Shift and Option key makes it small to the middle. It grows in the middle. With just the Shift key, it grows to an angle. It doesn't matter where you're going to place this. As much as I want to put this here and say, okay, I've got a grid square there. Now I have to figure and place it. There's one, well, it came in on its own layer here. I'm going to take this layer 1 and throw it away in the trash can here. I'll rename these layers when I get around to it, but I've got the first layer. Now, there's my item in that layer 1, and there's one of them. I'm going to take that and hold down the Option key, and it makes a copy. And see how that copy comes off? And if you hold the Shift key down as you bring it off, it will come off level, or vertical, or 45 degrees. But I want to go level. And I'm going to place it here so there's a little gap between them. And then I'm going to, see it made a new layer called copy, layer 2 copy. I'm going to take another one and make a copy and pull it over here and put it about the same distance. And I'll do it again with the Shift key, Option key down, makes the copy, and the Shift key keeps it level. That's 4. I want 5 across there. And then put 5. Okay, now what I've got here, I've got layer, the original, and all of these guys makes that, it makes their own layers. I'm going to put down the Command key, select this one, and now the Command key, and it allows me to select these one at a time. And I'm going to go in my little option bar here and say, merge those layers, the blue layers only. And see, it makes 1. And so I'm now going to relay that as grid 1. Okay, so I've got 5 up there. Now I'm going to take grid 1 and do the same thing. Hold on the Option key and make a copy, and hold down the Shift key as it comes down, so it comes straight down, and put those about equal distance, and then come down again and do another Option key to make a copy. You know you're going to make a copy because see the Option key's got 2 arrowheads on your thing. That means you're pulling a copy down. And there's the third one, or I'm going to say fourth one, and I go one more, 5. Okay, now I've got all those in place, and I've got some more over here that have expanded, so I'm going to take the top and hold down the Command key and select these other layers, not the background, but just these layers, and again go to Merge Layers, and they all come 1. And so I'm going to change that name to just Grid, because it's got the entire grid on there. Now I want to be, go to my Move tool, make sure my Show Transform Controls is on. And you can see now I'm a little off the center here, so I'm going to go as far, remember I put those center lines in to be the, so I can center this on its cell. And I'm going to move the arrow keys and just nudge it over until it's lined up here, and then the up arrow until it's lined up there. Now I'm virtually square. The margins around are squared off. Now remember, I didn't have anything in the middle. That's where the dog's head goes. And so I'm going to take out all the middle, so I only have around the outside is this grid. The reason the way I built the whole thing, and you could keep the whole thing if you want to, but I wanted to get them lined up so that they were 5 across, 5 down, and I could center them. Now I'll take my marquee tool and carefully come in here on this one and just draw a marquee that incorporates all of those center guys. Now if I wanted to be careful, I could say, you know, I'm going to capture, I'm on my grid, I'm going to go Command C and capture those and make a new layer and call that new layers inside. And say Command V and paste them there. There's the inside ones. Okay, now wait a minute, I'm going to turn that off, go back to my grid, and now there are 2 places, that center part, on the one layer and on the other. So I'm going to come back and do that little same marquee thing and delete those. Bonk. Now remember, I still got the other ones. I can put in and out. They're just in the right place, same everything. If I wanted to have my design, maybe put those inner grids, put them back in and make them transparent, or any number of things you could go with that. But for now, I'm just going to leave that as it is. Hit the Command D, and all the little marching ants go away. But that's what I want to take over. This grid to the other side, or take it, well, it's in Photoshop now, so I can coordinate this. Now remember, I select all of this stuff and say, all right, I want to put that gradient to it. So I take my magic wand tool and just select that black, and then it got the first grid, and say select similar, and it got all the grids. Then here's the two blues, the light blue and the dark blue. I'm going to put the foreground color as the light blue, and it takes all of them. And then I'm going to go to gradient, and I go up here and make sure I've got the radial gradient here, not the linear. And I remember I started it down here in the bottom, and it kind of grows up. So I'll click down here in this bottom one. So I click there and drag towards the upper corner. And there I get this blue down here, and it gets darker as it gets up to the other. You can play with that as much as you want, whatever fits, whatever makes it work for you. But that's the beginning of that background. Now, if I go back to the regular picture, there it is, what I have made and put in place. You see the silver lighter down here, it gets darker towards the top. Then I lay in the dog's face that I've cut out and put the glow on. Then I go to my type, and I use the word Duggar. Now, Duggar is a name that is a nickname. It's comes from any number of sources. It just happens to be my high school football coach's last name, and I use that for fun here and there and around, out of respect, but out of fun as well. But if I had a dog, I might call him Duggar. But he is an orange letters that I pulled out of a font that's on my computer, and you would have fonts on your computer to make this, maybe not this font, but you could use a font. I made it orange. I put a drop shadow on it so that it, and I pushed away a little further so there'd be some depth and dimension there. And then I put this stroke on it, not the outer glow, but the stroke, that last one down here, this stroke. And this stroke, if I click on that and show you that, I made the color orange. I picked out an orange that went with a reddish orange. And I have it here, the size is about 6 points. Don't get it too wide or it gets kind of out of hand. Let me show you what wider looks like. See, that doesn't work very well. So, and maybe thin is too thin. You can't see it. So I was at 6. That works pretty well. And I'll go back and okay that. So there's my graphic with all of its layers in it. And eventually I'll flatten those layers, and this will go off to be processed by a printer or somebody that's going to work that. But this is a more dramatic way of presenting a graphic, whether it's a dog or an apple or a gear wheel, a clock, anything that you're going to highlight. The background has nothing to do with the dog. It's just a design piece. And that's something you get used to or play with as you get more into graphic design, as to how to put elements together that make things look well presented.